So I want to explain a little bit why people are moving and leaving Dallas and give you the whole context and story. So let me walk you through what's really happening with growth in this region and why it should change where you focus your search. So you may have seen the headlines this summer with some version of Dallas is losing a little bit of population. And if you're seriously thinking about moving here, that headline may actually be enough to make you scared or rethink your move. But here's exactly what's going on. And once you understand it, it's not just bad news, it's actually useful information for exactly why you may want to be moving and buying here. The headlines are technically accurate, but they're only telling you half of the story. Hi, my name is Dee Walton, and I am your local real estate expert, and I help families just like you relocate, buy, and sell here in the DFW area. So here's the nuance that sometimes the headlines overlook or skip, is that the city of Dallas, the actual incorporated city, is about 1.3 million people inside those specific city limits and has barely grown over the past several years, and by some recent measures has essentially plateaued. Meanwhile, the wider Dallas-Fort Worth region, all 200 plus cities combined, has grown by roughly 10% over that same stretch and remains one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the entire country. So you got two completely different trend lines being reported under the same word Dallas, and most headlines only give you the one about the city because that's the most dramatic, the most clickable version. The region as a whole is still adding residents at a pace that most American cities would love to have. This actually isn't unique to Dallas either. You see the same thing going on in places like Atlanta, Phoenix, and Houston, where the historic urban core levels off while the metro area around keeps expanding. It's a sign of maturing and spreading out the region and not a regional decline. So where is all that growth actually happening? It's in the suburbs. Places like Fort Worth, Celina, McKinney, Frisco, Denton, and Princeton all have individually added more residents than the city of Dallas over the last 5 years. Celina specifically was recently the single fastest growing city in the entire United States, adding more than 12,000 residents in 1 year alone. This isn't random luck. It's driven by new construction on available land that simply doesn't exist inside of Dallas's actual core. Newer and highly rated school districts, master plan communities with the amenities that families want, and building or relocating campuses out along the northern corridors. Some of the biggest corporate relocations of the past decade, places like Toyota Northern American headquarters landing in Plano, Charles Schwab's headquarters consolidating in Westlake, they didn't happen in downtown Dallas. In fact, downtown Dallas is losing a huge corporate partner in the area to Plano. So AT&T is actually moving from downtown Dallas into a northern suburb. This growth is happening in the suburbs, and they pull thousands of relocating families with them. And once one major employer anchors a corridor like that, it tends to kind of snowball. Their vendors, their suppliers, and their businesses that serve their employees all follow, which is a bit part of why growth in the North keeps compounding instead of leveling off. In fact, I actually done a video recently on the Dallas Mavericks as well as the Dallas Stars moving out of downtown Dallas and moving their offices and teams. You can check out that video here. So if you're moving here, chasing long-term value, appreciation, new infrastructure, growing and improving school districts, proximity to where new jobs are actually landing, the fastest growing suburbs deserve just as much of your attention as the well-known Dallas neighborhoods that show up first when you Google best areas in Dallas. The urban core still has real advantages. Don't get me wrong. I really actually love Dallas myself. Established neighborhoods, walkability and pockets, cultural institutions that took decades to build. But if growth trajectory and future value are driving your decision, you cannot make that call by only looking 30 minutes from downtown. And if you're relocating with a home to sell somewhere else first, this same data matters on the other side of the transaction too. Knowing which DFW submarkets are absorbing demand and Fastest helps you time your purchase here against your sale back home instead of guessing at both. So here's a little bit of nuance. I want to be clear. This doesn't mean that Dallas proper is bad by any means, or that you should not buy in Dallas proper. Please do not get that twisted in this video. Established neighborhoods hold and build value on a completely different timeline than the fast growing burbs. So sometimes slower, sometimes with less volatility. And that is its own conversation depending entirely on your goals, your timeline, and whether you're buying a forever home or thinking about resale in the next 5 years. What this really means is that you should never pick where to buy based on a headline you skimmed, period. You should pick it based on what actually is happening on the ground, city by city, which is a kind of granular information that a national news story is never going to give you. So this pattern of growth isn't actually new, by the way. Cities have been pushing growth outward to their suburbs for decades, all over the country. What's different about Dallas-Fort Worth right now is the speed of it. Most regions this size take generations to build out a new growth corridor. And here you can watch a stretch of farmland along the Sam Raybon Turnway turn into a fully built master plan community with its own elementary school in under 5 years. That speed is exactly why the data changes so fast, and exactly why watching last year's best suburb list can already be out of date by the time you land for your house hunting trip here in Dallas. This is a market you have to check in real time, not from an article that is 18 months old. So if you want the real growth data for the specific suburbs or neighborhoods you're actually considering, not just whatever made this month's headlines, book a free call with me using the link, or you can actually utilize the QR code that is on your screen. I will walk you through exactly where the momentum is right now, how it lines up with your budget, your goals, and whether the fast growing suburb everyone's talking about is actually the right fit for you, or if a move to a different part of the Dallas Metroplex area makes a little bit more sense for your family.